Have you done everything right? Eating well, exercising, and still feel stuck? The reason might be hidden inside your body. In this video, I'll explain biomarkers, the internal clues our body gives us, and how they affect weight, energy, and health. So what are biomarkers and why do they matter? Well, biomarkers are simply any measurable signals from your body. And think of your body like a dashboard of a car. Blood tests, hormones, and even measurements like weight or waist size all act like warning lights. In this way, a biomarker can technically be anything, your height, your BMI, etc. But usually we mean things you see on a lab report file. In other words, biomarkers include blood enzymes, proteins, hormones, cholesterol numbers, basically any number that gives us information about your health file. Biomarkers equals body's internal signals, blood tests, hormones, etc. Biomarkers matter because they tell you what's happening inside. And many people eat clean and exercise, but still hit a wall with weight loss. That's often because something inside is off. They give feedback on whether you're eating too much or too little. Likewise, blood markers like insulin and glucose show how well your body processes food. Paying attention to these signals helps you correct course. And just to highlight this, I just want to tell you about one of many examples where I have experienced this to be the case. One of my previous clients by the name of Pauline was training super hard 6 days per week, including doing 3 one-hour strength training sessions with me, which were intense, and lots of cardiovascular exercise on her own in between these sessions. On top of that, she was always eating squeaky clean and doing everything right as far as her actions were concerned. And for a lengthy period of time too. But despite this, she still couldn't lose weight. And so I suggested that she get some bloods done, and the lab test revealed her thyroid function was low. And eventually, after seeking advice from multiple professionals, what was determined was that she in fact had a zinc deficiency that was slowing her metabolism, which makes sense when you realize that zinc is required for thyroid hormone, and thyroid hormone is required for metabolic rate, and then metabolic rate is required to lose weight. In other words, her workouts and diet were fine, but her thyroid was telling her body to hold onto the weight. But once her thyroid function was supported, it was only then that the weight started to actually come off. And so, as you can see from this example, biomarkers like thyroid hormones or mineral levels can explain issues that diet and exercise alone can't. And so the key point here is that biomarkers are the internal feedback your body gives you, and they include simple things like weight and waist size, or blood test values like blood sugar and hormones. And so just remember that when something feels off, even though you're doing all of the right things, checking these internal clues can reveal the problem. Now, whilst there are literally hundreds of biomarkers you could measure, and if I was to go through all of them, then it would literally take me a whole day to do that, to go through them all. So instead, I just want to spend a bit of time going through some of the most important biomarkers, not so much just for overall health, but particularly for weight loss. And I want to look at biomarkers through this lens because of the sheer prevalence of overweight and obesity today, which, according to the World Health Organization, is the biggest problem in the world right now. And it affects, almost 80% of adult populations in westernized countries. And excess weight isn't just a cosmetic problem, but rather one which is a precursor to many of the most common health problems that people are facing today, which is why I'm so passionate about educating others on how to better manage a healthy weight and also stay in their best shape. And so as far as managing a healthy weight is concerned, you really want to start with the low-hanging fruit first. And this includes biomarkers such as blood sugar and insulin. Your fasting blood sugar or A1C levels show how well your body is handling sugar. When blood sugar runs high, often from eating too many refined carbs, which are everywhere, it can lead to insulin resistance, where your cells stop responding properly to insulin. And this is a big deal because insulin is one of the key hormones that tells your body to store fat. So even if you're not overeating, high insulin can keep you in fat storage mode and make it really hard to lose weight. And so that's why regulating blood sugar and insulin may be the most important factor in managing a healthy weight. And a simple glucose test, or even better, an A1C test, which gives you a 2 to 3 month average of your blood sugar levels, can be ordered through your doctor. The good news, when you track and understand these numbers, you can make smarter food and lifestyle choices to actually lower your insulin, boost fat burning, and feel your best. Okay, so another simple biomarker you should check is your vitamin D. So vitamin D acts like a hormone in your body. It's essential for bones, immunity, and energy. And many people, especially those with higher body fat, are really low in vitamin D, and a low vitamin D can leave you feeling tired, it can make weight loss harder, etc. And a simple blood test of your 25-OHD, which is the major circulating form of vitamin D in the body, that is considered the best indicator of overall vitamin D status, simply because it reflects both the vitamin D production in the skin itself and the intake from food and supplements as well, will clearly tell you if you need more sun or supplements. Next, you want to look at your iron status, aka ferritin or hemoglobin. And this is important because iron carries oxygen in your blood. And if your iron or ferritin storage form is low, then you can feel exhausted and things like your workouts really suffer. And women especially should check their iron, which is a ferritin or CBC test, to rule out anemia, because improving low iron can really boost your energy and metabolism. And another important area to look at is your gut health markers, especially when you consider many health problems actually begin in the gut, and even minor imbalances can impact your weight and overall well-being. And while not everyone needs advanced testing, gut-specific tests like a stool analysis can reveal signs of digestive dysfunction, such as undigested food, excessive mucus, or the presence of parasites or bacteria. Or microbiome assessments can identify the types and diversity of bacteria, fungi, and viruses in the gut, which can be linked to specific health conditions. And in these cases, testing can help guide more targeted solutions. But to get the most out of these tests, it's really best to work with a qualified professional, such as a gastroenterologist, who can help you to identify specific biomarkers which are worthwhile checking, and just ensure that your gut is functioning as it should. Another biomarker to look at is thyroid function. Your thyroid gland is like a furnace for your body. It produces hormones that set your metabolic rate, and if your thyroid hormones are low, then your metabolism slows and your weight loss stalls. And if you remember Pauline's case, which I spoke about before, a thyroid panel check will analyze this. So if you feel cold, fatigued, or can't lose weight, check your thyroid stimulating hormone, otherwise known as TSH, and thyroid hormones T3 and T4. Another biomarker to look at is your liver. Now, liver enzymes AST and ALT. These enzymes show how well your liver and muscles are working, which, according to most experts, is possibly the most important organ in our body. Now, ALT, which is alanine aminotransferase in particular, is tied to energy use. So if it is consistently high or low, it might signal nutrient issues. It's also linked to vitamin B6 and energy metabolism, all of which are important when it comes to staying in good shape. The good news is that doctors include both of these routine blood panels. Okay, so the next biomarker is cortisol levels, which, as we know, is our main stress hormone. And this is not a problem in the short term, but if you're stressed out much of the time, as many people are, over time, then high cortisol levels can cause belly fat, which is also known as visceral or active fat, because it releases hormones and chemicals that affect our overall health. Cortisol also results in poor sleep, which makes weight loss even harder. And you can measure your cortisol levels either via a blood, saliva, or urine test. The next biomarker includes your sex hormones. For men, testosterone is the key to lean muscle and burning fat. For women, estrogen and progesterone matter, especially around menopause or polycystic ovarian syndrome, otherwise known as PCOS. Imbalances like low testosterone in men or polycystic ovarian syndrome in women can affect weight and energy. So if you feel that you have any of the symptoms of sex hormonal imbalance, such as low libido or menstrual changes, then you can check these with a hormone panel test, which can be done at home using kits that you mail samples to a lab analysis for. However, they've found that these kits may not be as accurate as lab-based tests and may not be suitable for all of the hormone panels. Also, it might be useful to look at your inflammatory markers, CRP and IL-6, etc., because chronic inflammation can block weight loss and harm overall health. C-reactive protein, which is referred to as CRP, is a common blood test, and high CRP means more inflammation. So that's something to consider getting tested, because reducing your inflammation can really help to improve metabolism, which is important for weight loss and overall health. Remember that this is best done through diet, sleep, and stress management. So just summing up, most of these tests are easy to get. A standard blood panel from your doctor often includes glucose, lipids, liver enzymes, and thyroid. Vitamin D and iron, can be included or added. For hormones or gut tests, you might need a referral or a specialized lab to do that. But just remember that all of these are just data tools, and it's nothing to worry over. They just give you information. What I will say, however, is that in my experience working with many clients, I've found that some health professionals, not all, but some, including doctors and certain lab services too, don't always interpret results as accurately as they should. And I say that because too often they dismiss concerning biomarkers as being within a normal range, even when they're not. And many also fall short when it comes to effectively addressing those imbalances. And so that's why it's really important to always stay informed, ask questions, and get a second opinion when reviewing any of the following biomarkers that I just spoke about. Do your own research, because your health depends upon it. So ask yourself, are you paying attention to your body's clues? Do you track any biomarkers like blood tests, hormonal levels, or even just your waist measurement? And if not, then today is a great day to start. And this is not about being overwhelmed by numbers, it's about being empowered with information. You're not supposed to memorize everything. Just pick a few key markers and, begin with that. Remember the earlier story? Once Pauline identified her thyroid issue, everything clicked into place. And while you may not have a thyroid issue specifically, Her story is one many of us can relate to. Doing everything right on the outside, yet still feeling stuck. And often that's because something on the inside is out of balance. And this is where labs become so powerful. They take the guesswork out by giving you insight into your own unique physiology. In other words, your data, not a one-size-fits-all fad, should guide your health and weight strategy. And here are some key steps to getting started with that. And that is to begin with 1 or 2 tests. For example, measure your fasting glucose and your vitamin D, or check your thyroid and a basic blood count. Even just tracking your weight and waist over time is considered a biomarker because that shows change. Next, use the data when you get a lab report. Note which numbers are out of the range. Research or ask a healthcare provider what they mean for diet and lifestyle. For instance, high blood sugar might mean reducing carbs, or low iron might mean eating more leafy greens. Next, track your progress. Retest in a few months after you make the changes, like improving your sleep or nutrition or exercising or taking supplements. And then celebrate any improvements. Maybe your A1C drops or your energy level goes up. These wins mean you're moving in the right direction. You can use biomarkers as tools to take control of your weight and your well-being. Treat it like a feedback system. Your body tells you when to adjust. You get feedback from that system that tells you to correct your course. And if you see that feedback and you respond, you start improving. And finally, remember, this applies to everyone. Men might focus more on testosterone and muscle. Women might pay extra attention to hormones and iron, but the approach is the same for all of us. Gather data, interpret it, and act on it. You are not alone. Many people find clarity and motivation once they see the real numbers from their body. And remember that this is by no means a full list of all of the specific biomarkers required to stay in your best shape, but it is an excellent start as it covers some of the most important areas. And you've got to start somewhere. So you've got this. Start small, stay curious, and use biomarkers as your secret weapon. The more you understand your body's internal signals, the better you can manage your weight, energy, and long-term health. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to learn more about the other essential attributes of staying in your best shape. And until next time, watch what you chew, do what you need to do, and always live true.